Hello, Transparency Gang. Welcome to Transparency Tuesdays. So, today I've decided to record with just a little bit of a change in scenery. Of course, the weather was like, girl, you didn't ask. But it's fine. We work with what we have. So, today I'm here to encourage us to get it. And most of us, when this year started, we proclaimed or declared that 2020 was our year, this was our decade, and all of that. And ever since this pandemic, there's been a lot of feeling of defeat, a sense of hopelessness. So I'm here to encourage us to still take that God-given dream inside of our hearts and use what we have to make it work, believing that God is always by our side and He will make it happen for us. So I was encouraged when I read for our devotion Judges 6, and I'll start reading from verse 13. Actually, let's do from verse 12. It says, "The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, 'Mighty hero, the Lord is with you.' 'Sir,' Gideon replied, 'if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and has handed us over to the Midianites.' Then the Lord turned to him and said, 'Go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you.' 'But Lord,' Gideon replied, 'how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest of the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I am the least in my entire family.' The Lord said to him, 'I will be with you, and you will destroy the Midianites as if you were fighting against one man.'" So what I picked up here is that, first of all, Gideon was looking down on himself and what he already had. He was talking about how his clan is the weakest, and even so, he's the least important in his entire family. And we can tend to do that. We can tend to look down on what God has already made available for us. It's just a phone, it's just whatever. And I'm talking to those who said they were going to start their YouTube channels. You're like, it's just a phone, it's not the greatest camera, or whatever excuses that we can master. But I'm here to encourage you that it is important to use whatever it is that God has given you. Remember, in Luke it says, those who are faithful with the little, God will give them even more. So let's get rid of this mentality that I will wait until this and that is in place. I will wait until I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I will start my YouTube channel when I have so many followers. Start now, and everything else will jump on. And going deeper into looking down on what God has given us. When we look at 2 Kings verse 4, it's the story about the widow who was poor and she was about to lose her son to slavery. Let me just read it for those of you who may not be familiar with this particular story. So it says, "One day the widow of a member of the group of prophets came to Elisha and cried out, 'My husband who served you is dead, and you know how he feared the Lord. But now a creditor has come, threatening to take my 2 sons as slaves. What can I do to help you?' Elisha asked. 'Tell me, what do you have in the house?' 'Nothing at all, except a flask of oil,' she replied. And Elisha said, 'Borrow as many empty jars as you can from your friends and neighbors. Then go into your house with your sons and shut the door behind you. Pour olive oil from your flask into the jars, setting each one aside as it is filled.' So she did as she was told. Her sons kept bringing jars to her, and she filled one after another. Soon every container was full to the brim. 'Bring me another jar,' she said to one of her sons. 'There isn't any more,' he told her, and then the olive oil stopped flowing." And just like Gideon, she looked down on what she had in the house, because the prophet asked her, what do you have in your house? And she said, nothing except a jar of oil. And that's how we are as well. So I want to encourage you guys, don't give up on your dream. Don't lose your dream. Don't write off 2020. You know, when you go onto Twitter, there's a lot of people saying, 2020 was a gap year. 2020 didn't happen. Listen. First of all, if you come from the north, the northern part of Mpumalanga and Limpopo, you'll understand this example I'm about to give. So if you don't plant a mango seed, pip, whatever I call that thing, during winter because it's cold and everything is dying, you will not have mangoes in summer. And it's the same with us now. If you do nothing now, when we are all out, when this lockdown is finished, you will have so much regret because you will have wasted this time thinking you're waiting for conditions to be favorable. No, do it now. Do not procrastinate. And when we look at verse 7, it says, when she told the man of God what had happened, he said to her, now sell the olive oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left over. So what she had in her house, that which she had overlooked, was actually something that was the solution to her problems. All she needed to do was have faith and listen to what the prophet had told her to do. And it went from just being a jar of oil to filling so many jars that she had enough to sell, and not only use that money to save her sons from slavery by paying off the debt, but now she had enough for her and her sons to live off of. So what is it that is inside of you, that is in your house, that you are overlooking? What is it? Because that could be the solution. Maybe right now the lockdown is really hitting you hard in terms of your finances, well, this could be the solution that you need. Finding out what it is that is in you and using that which you have to get out of whatever situation you find yourself in. And remember, God doesn't give us talents for the sake of it. God gives us talent so we can use it. So please be wise. And going back to Judges, now I want to read from chapter 7, verse 2. It says, the Lord said to Gideon, you have too many warriors with you. If I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength. Therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home. So in the end, Gideon only had 300 soldiers with him to take to war. But this was God demonstrating his power, because had they gone in the hundreds of thousands, they may have forgotten that God is the one who put them on and be like, yeah, we're the strongest, we're the best army in the whole world. But because there were only 300 and they went against hundreds of thousands, they knew that it doesn't make sense. It can only be God. And it's the same with us. Imagine securing whatever it is that you wanted to secure in this time with zero help, with only what you have in the house, literally, because we're on lockdown, so you can only use what you have in the house. When you succeed, you won't even be able to brag about your genius or whatever, because you will know it can only be God. But listen, if you don't do anything, then nothing can be blessed because you did nothing. But if you do something, then God can jump in and bless that which you are doing. Some of you may not know. So last week I did a listening session, and if you know anything about media, you need a lot of software, you need a lot of hardware to be streaming live and giving people good sound quality, good picture quality. I didn't have any of that. All I had was a laptop and myself, but we found a way to make it work, and it worked out beautifully. Listen, that day God came all the way through for me, because on that specific day, even the Wi-Fi was like, this is the day I choose to act up. But you wouldn't even know if you go and watch the live stream. You wouldn't know that, man, it was going down behind the scenes, because I didn't sit and wait until they open Matrix or whatever hardware store so I can go buy the right cables from Tom's and have the right and have a mixing desk and all of that. I just worked with what I have. So let us not waste this lockdown. Let's be productive. Let's do something so that when this lockdown is lifted, when we are here next year this time, 2021 April, you're like, man, I am so glad I started last year April. Look at how far I've come. Now, looking at Judges 8 verse 4, it says, Gideon then crossed the Jordan River with his 300 men, and though exhausted, they continued to chase the enemy. So what happened was, when they sounded the alarm to go and attack, God obviously fought for them, and the Midianites were thrown into confusion and panic, and they killed each other. And then those who fled, these are the ones that now Gideon was pursuing. But I want to emphasize here that it says they were exhausted, but they continued to chase the enemy. And for those of you who maybe didn't relax during this lockdown, you didn't get defeated, but now you're just at that point where you are tired because maybe you are not seeing the results that you were hoping to see. Maybe things aren't going as quickly as you needed it to go. I just want to encourage you to keep on fighting. And remember, in Matthew, Jesus says, all those who are heavy laden, come to me, for my burden is light and my yoke is easy to carry. I think I mixed up those words, but you get the gist of it. So I want to encourage you, do not give up. When you are tired, go to God and have your strength renewed, but keep on keeping on. Nothing ever comes from quitting. Don't let the situation that we are in demoralize you. You are doing great by the mere fact that you chose to start. So stay on this track. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you for watching. Go forth and start on whatever project you said you would start in 2020.